This is the Fant4sy podcast.
Welcome back, everybody. This is the Fant4sy podcast. We've got Landon,
Andrew, Ford,
Doug.
Welcome back, everybody. Pleasure to be here again. This is the fourth episode of the Fant4sy podcast of the second semester. And this episode is going to be a little different, a little round the horn action. We'll speak on 6 different subjects that we've chosen and researched a little bit on, and just have 5 minutes to speak about each of them. And we'll just get ahead and go ahead and get straight into it. And we'll start out with Arkansas Razorback baseball. Doug, if you want to go ahead.
Hold on. Give me a second.
All
I
right.
got to get in the proper attire for this, I believe.
Okay, Ford, you go, Ford. Hit us with something.
Honestly, I've been kind of disappointed recently. We've been killed by a couple teams that we should not have been killed by or even lost to. Recently, Eastern Illinois. I mean, that was embarrassing at home. And, I mean, we came into the year saying, like, we might even be better than next year, and so far it's this. I mean, I know conference is when it matters, but I've been disappointed so far. Even though some players have played very well.
I agree. Doug, remove your mic from your mouth a little bit and tell me what you got to tell me about the Hogs.
Well, Stovall the other night, didn't he hit 3 back-to-back home runs? Am I wrong?
Yeah.
I don't pay for Flow Sports. I don't pay $30 for that, so I'm not able to watch the games. But I try to keep up with it as best I can. I heard we went to the 11th inning last night with Illinois State. Illinois State. And that shouldn't happen, but then again, it's NCAA baseball, so it's really just going to be like that till we make, the regional. So, yeah, we're just going to have to keep going to a conference, and conference is really where it's going to be decided with teams like LSU and Ole Miss from last year. LSU's number 1, I think, to this day. They were number 1 last week. So, I don't know. Conference is going to be the true testament. But these first teams, it's NCAA baseball. You can't really judge it.
Yeah, man. I mean, anything can happen. Any team can go out there and beat any other team any given night. As we saw, UCA Bears actually took a trip to Vanderbilt and took down the 10th ranked team in the nation. It's their first time beating them in school history. Shout out to them. Shout out to Jack, I guess. But good for them. And, yeah, I mean, it really is anyone's game. Anyone can get hot at any time. The SEC just looks crazy this year. I mean, like it does every single year. But we'll expect to see, Tennessee up there, Ole Miss with us. But it should be a really competitive year. I'm looking forward to it myself. You got it.
And I'm just seeing for college baseball in general, there's just a bunch of teams from last year that are just, I don't know, this pretty much the same teams. Like Dallas Baptist, they're coming hot off the bat with a bunch of wins. I can't really pinpoint how many, but I know they're on a good win streak, good amount anyways. And Oklahoma State as well. Did we play them, or did we play?
Not yet.
Okay, so I think they're on a really good winning streak too. It just seems like a lot of the good teams from last year are really back in the saddle and didn't really lose anything. So I think when it comes down to later in the season, we'll just see a lot of the same teams. It really seems like it hasn't changed much.
Yeah, I mean,
so far, but we're only a week into it, so I can't. It's a really vague thing to say.
It's really hard to have a negative or downward outlook on a team that's being coached by Dave Van Horn. So I mean, having him. We're set. We're gonna have at least some kind of chance. He could go out there and have some farmer boys that just hopped off working 8 hours on their farm and come up there and play some baseball, and he could coach them, and they would do not horribly. He's just that skilled of a coach to where he could take almost any team to almost the next level that they currently are, and which he's done with this organization 100%. And I think he's gonna do this entire season. Like he always does. But I'm totally looking forward to this season. anyone that just stands out on the Hogs this season? Any player?
Stovall, I'd have to throw out there for sure.
Yeah.
Transfer. He hits 3 or 4 hole. Yosenberg or
Yeah.
no?
I know you're
Is
talking
that it?
about
Yosenberg?
the lefty.
Yeah, he's hit a couple home runs
Yeah.
early. He's got, I think, 12 RBIs or something.
It's a crazy number this early in the
Yeah.
season. I mean,
And it was even like he hasn't hit as many recently. It was like early on,
Yeah.
like he was hitting a lot.
Doug?
Yeah. I don't know,
Stovall.
man.
Bullpen looks good.
Tiger.
I just
Look
I
good.
Yeah,
can't really
bullpen, man.
pinpoint names because I just can't watch the games. But I know we have a lot of freshman pitchers that are stepping up in big time
Yeah.
moments, such as bottom of the 8th, bottom of the 9th, and just really trying to pinpoint those batters. I don't know. It seems like the pitching staff has it figured out whenever it comes to freshmen coming in. It seems like they always have more confidence than they should have being freshmen.
Yeah.
It amazes me sometimes.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. I know you guys are. But we'll go ahead and move on to the next topic. And Andrew, you can start out this one. We're doing Hogs basketball. Give us what you got.
Well, it's been an interesting end of the year for us, end of the regular season. We got back full strength, obviously, other than Brazil. Nick Smith has come back and played his full minutes now. He's not on a minute restriction. I think everyone's still getting used to playing with each other. We went out and played really well against Alabama. Couldn't make free throws. That's what cost us. And then we went out there and didn't even play against Tennessee. So it's really hard to tell, but we kind of already mentioned it when we talk about baseball. It's really about who gets hot at the right time. And Arkansas has all the talent in the world to get hot in March. They're a lock to make the tournament now. We know that for sure. It's just a matter of who they get matched up with, which side of the bracket they'll be on. And if they can do what they did last year, they have a more talented team than last year. Obviously, last year the team was probably more deep and filled a little bit more gaps as far as what they could accomplish on the court. But I think this year I think we can consider them contenders. I'll be intrigued to see what happens in the SEC tournament this year, and then eventually in the NCAA tournament. It's they're primed to either win the whole thing or go out in a game or two.
Yeah, Nick Smith, he's just elevated this team, I think, to another level. And if he keeps playing the way he has been for, past week, 2 weeks, he's had a few good games. But he really is what this team needs to just make that push in the March Madness tournament. Without him, if he happens to re-aggravate any kind of injury, which would be horrible, I'd never want to wish that upon anyone or hope. But obviously, I don't hope that. But if it were to happen, it would not be good for the Razorbacks whatsoever. Because he hasn't played many games. It's hard to say he's the heart of the team, but he really is just, the past few games has just turned another page from what he's been playing when he was active. And I'm really excited to see what he does with this team when he's healthy.
I'm pretty excited for what they'll do in the tournament because other than Tennessee, which I just write off as a bad game, the 2 other games with Nick, he put up 25 around there.
Yeah.
Both times, the team looked good. Like Andrew said, they're primed to either lose in the first round or scrape by, or I think they could make a deep, deep run if they can get their full game plan clicking in, putting in their new number 1 scorer. That's going to take time to fully mesh and go together. But if they can get going in time for the tournament, I think they could be scary and it'd be a very hard out just because they have they have 2 top 10 potential picks. That does not happen a lot.
Nope.
With teams like Arkansas.
Right.
The only thing I have to say that's different between last year's team and this year's team is that last year's team just felt like the chemistry was there. Like Andrew was saying, this team just is kind of, it's not real. They're not really familiar with playing with each other. But that's the only thing I see different. The talent's there to make a deep run, but also there's there's nights where, Jordan Walsh, Anthony Black, and whoever else just doesn't perform like they should. And I just have – everybody else had high expectations for the Hogs this season. Even with them being freshmen, they were all top 15 in the nation for incoming prospects. So, I don't know. It's just a 50-50 shot for me on the Hogs going deep into March. But Devo, I would just say Devo Davis has been the rock for the Arkansas Razorbacks this year. When Anthony Black hasn't showed up, man, it's been Devo. Whether it's a mid-range, a three-pointer, or a driving layup, or a dunk, he's always there. And it's just been, it's been really cool to see him be a freshman all the way to a junior and be the player that he is today. So.
Yeah, I 100% agree. He's definitely made a hell of an improvement since last year. And I know one piece we're missing that not that we're missing, but that we do miss is Jalen Williams, 100%. We miss that big man down there, and it's tough not having him there, but we're adjusting.
I will say, though, the Mitchell twins have done a really good job.
Yeah.
They have. I've been impressed.
Yeah, they didn't impress me to start the year, but they have really formed into something that can actually help us win. And I think most of our struggles are on offense, and our defense is perfectly fine. If we can just play defense like we do and get the big guys involved, I think we'll be fine.
Yeah. I personally wish Kamani Johnson would just play a little bit more. I really like him.
Me too.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's a good rebounder, man. Like, every time he's on the floor, he's just grabbing rebounds. And he means scoring, too. But I don't know. I feel like he's better than Lotho.
I wouldn't say he's a big man, but he's like a 3 or a 4. He didn't play a lot because he was in trouble with Muss beginning of the year, but he's been playing more recently.
Oh, and Ricky Council, too. Great player.
I don't know who I'm talking about.
Green. Jalen.
Oh, Graham. Jalen Graham.
Graham.
Yeah.
He's been. I like him too.
Yeah.
Last 3 or 4 games, he stepped it up.
He reminds me of Jalen Smith from a couple years back.
Yep, for sure.
Like almost the exact same player.
Yeah, we just named about 6 or 7 guys that have
all
been,
dogs.
Yeah, exactly. And if they do what they're supposed to do, the Hogs are going to have a shot this year. And that's all that needs to be said. But we'll go ahead and
they can take
on.
down any team in the country for sure.
Yeah, I'm not worried about their seeding.
Yeah.
I think they can still play with anyone.
And especially since it'll be neutral, and there'll be, most likely there'll be 50-50, if not, 60-40 fans. They'll be fine.
Yeah.
Well, we've covered our Hogs. Now we'll move on to the big leagues. The NFL draft. I saw so many clips on Instagram today of these defensive linemen, these defensive ends, just running 4.44s and 4.5s. Like, it's just what guys are being bred, like, how is this? They're running faster 40s than Stephon Diggs, these defensive ends are.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. And D-Hop, it's just crazy to think about.
Now, well, Diop had a hurt ankle when he ran his, but so that's a bad stat, but
you still think he's faster than Stephon Diggs? I don't.
It's really hard to tell. I don't think receivers really have to try that hard on their 40s. So,
but insane stuff though. Nonetheless, of these defensive ends just going out there and it's amazing to watch. It really is. Just because we see all these clips of these new guys running 40s, and we're gonna get the CJ2Ks, his 40. We're gonna get his 40, the next 40. Just all these guys who have run the fastest ever. And by the next year, there's going to be guys who break them. There will be. Each year, I feel like we're just getting just better and better athletes just all throughout, their body and just how they play the game. Just I think each year, man, we're getting better. But very impressive by those DNs. Y'all got anything?
Yeah, I think there's something that we have to address in regards to the NFL draft.
Yep.
And it's Anthony Richardson. Anthony. I know. You think I'm going to talk about Jalen Carter? I'm not talking about Jalen Carter. But Anthony Richardson has been all the talk lately. He was Florida quarterback last year. He played, pretty atrociously all year. You look at his numbers. He didn't throw a touchdown until like week 5 or 6 as their starter, full-time starter. So now all the talk has shifted from Bryce Young because, Bryce Young's 5'10", and C.J. Stroud, he has a weak arm, whatever. Now everyone's saying Anthony Richardson's the best quarterback in the draft, and he's the favorite to go number 1. And I'm no NFL scout. I'm no expert. I just watch football, right? And I like to say that I know a little bit about football because of how long I've watched it. I do not see a world where Anthony Richardson is even close to the top quarterback in this draft.
Absolutely not.
I just don't see. I think we get so caught up with the whole he has all this talent and all this skill, but he hasn't produced ever. So what makes us think that when he gets to the highest level of football that all of a sudden he's just going to click?
I'm
I'm not a believer in the Anthony Richardson hype, personally.
All I'm saying is that the SEC West, bro, is just – or no, is it the East. No, it's the East. My bad. That's my fault. The East, the SEC East is the joke of the SEC, bro. You got Tennessee, Vandy. I can't think. Somebody help me.
Florida.
Florida. Georgia, they're good. Auburn, right?
Yeah.
Is Auburn there?
I think so.
Because
They're
we
not
don't play Auburn every year.
Mizzou's in there. It's
We
just
didn't play
an easy
Auburn this year.
conference.
Did
I
we?
just
We
feel like
did play Auburn this year.
When?
We
Yeah, we
always play Auburn.
Yeah,
football.
We played him this year. We killed him. Do you not
Anyway.
remember the game?
It was an
where
away game?
That's where they put up the Spirit Halloween sign on Auburn Stadium.
Anyways.
Okay,
Well,
yeah.
Anyways,
I guess
I'm just saying that Anthony Richardson in the SEC East, it's just not very much competition over there besides Georgia and, Tennessee this year and last year, they've been more dominant than ever, but I don't know. No way he is nowhere near the top 5, maybe top 5, but nowhere near top 3 in this QB draft.
I wanted to bring up how atrocious this whole QB class is, honestly, because other than Stroud or Young, I don't know who I'm picking in the top 10 left out of there.
Right.
And I don't even know if I'd take Stroud and Young top 3.
Yeah.
And after the Jalen Carter thing, that makes it a lot easier too, but
I like Bryce Young, but kind of like Kyler Murray, he's just he might be too small for the NFL. But
it's hard.
There's not a whole
Alabama
lot
listed him at 6 foot, and he's actually 5'10" and a half. So that's a pretty big difference.
You can be short and do it. It's just
Very
like
hard.
the guys have proven you can.
Drew Brees did it.
Yeah, Drew Brees. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Russ did it for.
Yeah,
used
Russ
to
had
do
small
it.
hands too.
Hopefully he does it next year. Bounce back next year. He's got Drew Brees as coach. He's got the short guys as coach.
Look,
He does. I just think there's a chance he's completely
I
washed. Though.
I had a dream the other night that the Broncos made the Super
for-
Bowl.
Thank you for
So, Look,
I hope he does. I like Russ. I think he's a great guy. I hope he goes and balls out, but I just think there's a good chance he's just simply washed. And
Yeah.
I mean, Geno
we'll see.
Smith did better. Did they improve their record? They definitely did. From last year?
Yeah.
Yeah, but Geno Smith was the primary starter last year too. So
That's true.
Yeah, I don't know. The quarterback class is very bad. You're right. But we'll go ahead and move on.
I think it's a joke.
We'll go ahead and move on to our fourth subject, and that is the MLB spring training. I'm going to go ahead and just kick it off with the pitch count. I've watched baseball for I don't know how long. I've played it for I don't know how long. That thing, they want people to start watching baseball more. I believe they're doing the exact opposite. I feel like they're making people not want to watch the sport. guys aren't getting comfortable up at the plate. The batters have a rhythm every single time. They take off their gloves, put them back on. Every time they do that, they just remember what they have to do every single time. If they have a mimic or like a gimmick that they do wrong or something, they remember it every time they do their little thing and take their time outside of the box. And MLB is just taking that part of the game away. Yeah, and same for pitchers. It's definitely easier for them. They're sped up, but having a batter sped up is obviously harder. You're the one that's trying to hit the ball. But yeah, it's looked brutally horrible in my opinion. The implementation of the pitch clock. 20 seconds is what we saw yesterday, I believe, or today, being the fastest strikeout to ever be recorded. 20 seconds long by Wandy Peralta. 20 seconds is just crazy. That you think about that, that's maybe one pitch. But no, today that's a whole at bat. 20 seconds. I just feel like this is not the smart move, or it could be, but they have to do something to change it. They have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the idea of the clock is the right idea. I think the length of the clock is horribly wrong.
Yeah.
I don't think we're trying to rush anything. I don't think that's the goal. We don't want to rush hitters. We don't want to rush pitches. We want to make sure that we don't stall. We're not trying to really speed up a normal game. We're trying to eliminate the long, stupid. I was at a game one time that only went into 3 extra innings, and I was there till 2:30 a.m. Like, that's the kind of stuff they're trying to get rid of, because they're going to lose money off of that, and people just aren't going to be entertained by sitting there watching nothing. But you're right. It's the complete wrong decision to have it go this quick, and I think it might be so bad that they'll have to change it before the regular season starts, because it's pretty bad.
I think there's a chance they will, with how much backlash they're getting over it. I don't know how true it is either, but I saw something is that it's like horrible for the pitcher's arms too, just to rush them like that, tire out quicker.
It's gotta be.
It makes sense that it would.
Yeah, I think it's dumb. What you got, Doug?
Well, I've been watching my Diamondbacks every day, trying to, and
How's Dalton?
they got what?
How's Dalton?
He's gone. He's off the team.
No, you're not keeping up with him anymore.
No. We have bigger and better things to look forward to, but we have 2 teams in the RB team. I don't think has won a game, and our A team has won 2 or 3. I think we played the Dodgers today, and we won 6-5 in 11 innings. But besides that, the pitching clock and the batter clock. I saw that game the other day. It was the Red Sox and somebody. It ended bottom of the 9th. It was like 3-2, 2 outs, bases loaded. Would have won the game, and it just ended because the dude wasn't in the box. And so that's just absurd. And like y'all all said, it has to be changed, whether it's adding more time to the clock or it's just completely eliminating it or just waiting for better implementation. I think that's the way to go. I just think teaching kids baseball from kindergarten all the way through, college. And I don't know if y'all been keeping up with college baseball, but, during the day I try to keep up with whatever games are going on, and it's really affecting those kids too, with just especially the pitchers, like Ford was saying. They just look really fatigued in like the 3rd inning, starters do, and I don't know. It's just not good for the sport. But looking forward to Diamondbacks baseball. Hopefully they turn it around for your season.
I'm ready for my Rangers, baby. Landed in the corner and barely see it. Shout out.
There's no way you can see that.
No.
Shout out to my Rangers. I'm ready for DeGrom and Corey Seager. It's going to be a great year, I'm hoping. But yeah, the pitch
It's
clock.
better than the past 5 or 6, I can tell you that much.
Yes,
Yep. It'll be Yu Darvish days.
Anything's better than what the last couple of years have been.
I'm super
I'll
excited
flop
to have the
being your
best pitcher in baseball on my favorite team. So you can't really complain about that. But yeah. We'll go ahead and move
The
on.
only thing I have to say about
Go ahead.
MLB is that the Diamondbacks kept Madison Bumgarner as their ace. Like, he's so old and he's so overrated. I'm a Diamondbacks fan, and I hate Madison Bumgarner. I would hope they get ASAP Rocky.
Okay. No Mad Bum is what we want. All right. Yeah.
Sorry.
No. Yeah.
Yeah, no
Okay.
Mad Bum.
No Mad Bum. All right, let's get him out of there.
And Mark Melanson. Yeah, get rid of him too.
Get him out of there too. Go ahead and move on to
Bum.
our fifth subject, which is just an update in the NBA. Today, the Mavericks played the Philadelphia 76ers, and before this game, they were 1-4 in their last 5 games with Luka and Kyrie, which is a very, 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 very scary thing to hear. But it's just going to happen. They're 2 superstars. They have to get used to each other. They lost to the Pacers. They beat the Spurs. It's the Spurs. But they did beat the Philadelphia 76ers today with Harden and Embiid healthy. And they had a 21-point lead on them, almost lost it, which was scary. But just seeing Luka and Kyrie out there tonight, they just looked incredible together. They flowed flawlessly together tonight. Not many of their shots that they made, I don't think hit the rim. They were nearly perfect tonight. Hard to say perfect, but they definitely their best game they've played together so far. And I just think from here on out, we're going to get more of that. And I'm super excited about that. And with that, the Western Conference, the standings right now, they've been like this for the past month. The closest race I've ever seen, I think, in any sport of any division, any conference of anything. There's the 4 seed through the 10 seed, 11 seed right now, 12 even, 4 to 11 probably. They all have a chance of getting in, and not just a little chance. They all have great chances of getting in. All their records are near the same, and it's just very fun to watch and seeing how these teams, just execute for the rest of the season and where they land in the playoffs. But yeah, I'm super excited to see where the Western Conference just lays at the end of the season.
Yeah, I think one storyline developing through this is actually happening right behind me right now. Is the Warriors are about to win another game without Steph Curry. They're up by 20 right now against the Clippers, and these aren't just fake wins. These are legitimate wins against a few good teams. The Warriors, without Steph Curry for the past 3 weeks, have found themselves now in the 4 or 5 spot, where before the All-Star break, they were hovering in the 8, 9, even the 10 range, right there with the Oklahoma City Thunder. Without Steph, they've won games, they've weathered the storm, and now they're in a prime position to snag a 3 seed at the best, in my mind, away from the Kings. And that's a big deal for them because they're going to want those easier matchups. They're going to want home court advantage because they're one of those teams that it really matters for. And when they get healthy by the end of the year, that's going to be a team you can't look past again. It seems like every year we keep talking about them. They find ways to win games. So definitely a team that you don't want to match up with in the first round of the playoffs.
100%. Yeah, with that, if they ended up being the 3 seed, they'd be playing the 6. Mavericks have a really, 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 really good shot of landing probably the 6th seed this season. Imagine that first round matchup. Luka, Kyrie, Steph, and Clay. Steph and Poole. I don't know.
It's Steph and Clay, though. Come on. Let's be real. Clay's averaging like 30 a game in the past month.
Doug, Ford, what you got anything for the NBA?
Yeah, this is, for me, it's been one of the most fun seasons I've had, enjoying the NBA since, 2016? KD on the Warriors versus the Cavs. It's been crazy. A lot of players have been going off.
Yeah.
Like y'all said, the playoffs is close. MVP's not as close, but it's still kind of up in the air a bit.
Yeah.
But it's been a really fun season, and I'm excited for the playoffs. I'm really excited for the playoffs. I think it's going to be a blast.
In recent update with the NBA, I would just say John Morant. You know, I don't know what happened to that kid, and why he came about that a year later after it happened. But I guess that's his business. But I guess he wants to be who he wants to be, and that's what that is.
Yeah.
Best of luck.
Yeah, best of luck to Ja.
I was
Maybe
thinking it's Cap.
he's
Do y'all think it's real?
That might
I
be.
mean, yeah.
Who knows?
This was a thing they
I
mentioned.
don't know if the gun part's real. That's what I
Yeah,
think.
they mentioned this without the gun part a few months ago.
Yeah,
and
and like
the
now,
gun
why
part-
is the gun being brought up now?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what that is, but there's really no telling.
Yeah, who knows?
You would think the gun part would have been the first thing talked about.
Right. That's
when it
the
was
thing
first
that's the
brought
problem.
up. That would be the biggest
Exactly.
Yeah.
issue is brandishing a gun at a minor. Like that's not just gonna go under the radar.
Yeah.
I hope he didn't do that.
Yeah. That would.
Yeah.
He would no longer be fine in the West. But
No,
Fine
not.
in the Western County jail cell.
yeah, exactly that. But what Ford was saying, I want to add one more thing before we move on to the final subject. Players have been going off 100%. We've seen Dame just got his career high. Andrew, can you tell me the number?
71.
71. Okay, I was just making sure. Like seriously, I didn't.
Yeah.
But 71
I like talking about.
is 71 just is crazy for anyone. And Dame, congratulations.
That is.
But I mean, we've seen Donovan Mitchell, Luka. I mean, he had his 60 or his 50 20 50 20 10 whatever
Yeah.
game he had.
I think it
Jokic.
was 60-20.
60, yeah. But anyways, there's just been so many amazing performances this season, and we're just going to keep seeing them. Like I said about the NFL, we keep getting guys that are more athletic and, more skilled, and
Mhm.
we're just going to keep seeing it. I'm super excited. I feel like we're going to get 100 points out of someone here soon.
Before we move on,
But
Before we move on, very quickly, I just wanted to highlight how Donovan Mitchell's 71 points, Luka's 60, 20, 10 are both levels ahead what Damian Lillard did last week.
Yeah.
I watched the end of that game. I watched Damian Lillard as they're up by 15, 16, 17 points against the Houston Rockets with 5 minutes left in the game. He's still out there. He's running faster than anyone else on the court, hunting for shots. And I get it. You want to make the most of your time out there. But he's intentionally stat padding. I say he finished with 62 points. That's his true finish. He finished with 62, which is still a good game.
Yeah.
But again, it's against the Houston Rockets, who's the worst team in the NBA. And he was out there super late in the game, chucking up shots when he didn't have to, trying to get a record because he can't get a ring. So, anyway, certified Damian Lillard hater here. Just had to throw that in there.
Yeah, 100%.
And I got one more thing.
Yeah.
As the Lakers number one hater, I'm so glad their season is over. I hate the Lakers. They lost me so much money. All right, go ahead, Ford.
We're talking about players going off, and I think the weirdest thing all year was Cam Thomas's little stint. Like that was unheard of to me. Like just
especially like now.
And he's
like
back to
Cam
bench
Thomas,
role.
like
7 points a
Exactly.
game now.
like what 3 games in a row, right? 3 40-point games
Yeah,
in a
it
row.
was. Yeah.
Like what has he ever done?
It doesn't make sense. They have.
Has
they
he had a
just-
40-point game before this?
I'm sure he
Had he?
has. Yeah, I'm sure. At some point he scored 40, maybe once or twice, maybe.
I don't know.
Why?
If he did.
When would he have though? When would he?
He's a second year
Well,
player.
I feel like we would have heard about it. Like
Maybe he
He
did,
did.
once. I don't know. I'm sure he scored 30 before. 30.
on the
Maybe.
net.
But my thing is, why they just traded away Durant? They traded away Kyrie earlier. But he's still. He's on the bench still. They're not. He's getting 20 minutes.
Because
a
he
game.
can't play defense, and the rest of the team can. And he's an inefficient scorer. He has his games where obviously he has it going on, but this is the same thing at LSU, bro.
It's just.
He had games where he went for 35 points, and then he had games where he go for 6, bro. Like, and he cannot play defense. He's the worst defender on that court.
He is very streaky.
So
He's just streaky.
So, the Nets though probably have a top 3 defense in the league now with what they've after all these acquisitions, maybe you'd say top 5. Give him that.
Acquisitions, yeah. With Cam Thomas, Mikal Bridges, I like Dinwiddie's defense enough, and then Claxton, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, you could probably afford to have a Cam Thomas out there for a majority.
Because then they're not a top 5 defense anymore.
Yeah, but they have those other guys
It makes
that
a
they're
big
playing
difference.
below him. But yeah, I get it 100%. But it's
Defense is a
But
system.
it's hard for any guy to go
score.
do that.
Having a
Yeah,
scorer like that come off the bench has got to be such a tremendous boost.
Yeah.
Just compared
For
to
the
how what
team. Yeah.
most teams would be.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't need him playing big moments. They just need him to score whenever they can't find
Yeah,
him.
whenever they don't have their. Yeah.
Amazing. But we'll go ahead and move on to our final segment, and that is way too early NFL picks, with that being studs, duds, or sleepers. I'm just going to go ahead and throw out my name, Mr. George Pickens. I just think after 1 year with Kenny Pickett, he's not. This isn't my stud, by the way. Don't get that. This is my sleeper. He's going to have a lot better of a year than people would probably think. But I just think after this 1 year with Kenny Pickett, he's a lot more comfortable. No Claypool, obviously no Juju. He's been gone, but him and Deontay and Pat, they're all there. But him and George Pickens and Kenny Pickett just have an unmatched connection compared to any other receiver, I feel like, on that team. Maybe Pat, but just the catches that George Pickens makes, obviously from Kenny Pickett's balls, they're just crazy. They're just insane. Maybe George Pickens could have gotten robbed of Catch of the Year. Maybe I'm a little biased, but I really do think he's going to – he had a decent fantasy year this season, so I think he's going to turn the page and just have I think by the end of the season, I think Pickens will finish as a low-end wide receiver 2 and be a top maybe 15, 16 fantasy receiver this next season.
Top
That's my guy.
15.
That's bold.
And then I have
I was
Brees
top
Hall
15.
carrying over his last season before he got injured. I'm ready for Brees Hall to go out there and just tear it up. But yeah. Hopefully he'll recover well from that injury.
Yeah.
Andrew?
One guy I really like
your
next
stud?
year. This is my stud.
Okay.
I'm not sure. Evan Ingram's coming back to the Jags, right? I'm not tripping.
I would think so.
I don't. We don't know.
Most likely he is. Most likely. But
He's talked about going like 4 different places, so I don't know.
if he goes back to Jacksonville, I think he could be a top 5, not top 3, top 5 tight end for fantasy next year. Just because what the Jaguars did late season and that playoff game, that's going to be huge, like moving forward. And I just think their offense, I think T-Law is really going to get clicking. Like he played good this season, but I think next year he could really take it up to that Justin Herbert, not Joe Burrow, but those younger guys type of echelon player.
No, don't get me started with the Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow talk. Oh no.
No, man.
Come on.
No, but yeah.
Well,
After a year of T-Law,
what's your
those
problem with it,
receivers,
Andrew?
I think they'll be good, very good next year.
I think Justin Herbert is more talented than Joe Burrow.
I do too.
I think Joe Burrow's put in a better situation.
Yeah, Justin Herbert,
um,
besides Keenan Allen.
Justin
and
Herbert has Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. I mean, those are not scrubs.
That's not a.
They are.
I mean,
anyway.
I think Joe Burrow. I'm on the Joe
Those
Burrow
are
side,
both-
but Herbert plays with those two guys. They're very good receivers, but they're injury prone, man. A lot like
They are.
Compare them to who Burrow has. T. Higgins is mostly always healthy. Jamar Chase is. He had this first injury this
And
last
coaching.
season, but
Brandon
Okay,
Staley is horrible. Their offensive coordinator got fired because he's so bad.
I would rather have Jamar than Williams and Allen, but I would rather have Williams and Allen over Higgins. Me personally. I love Mike Williams. I think he could. If he's a wide receiver 1 somewhere, could be crazy.
I believe
if
that
T.
Herbert-
Higgins was wide receiver 1, he would be crazy.
I just the catches Mike Williams makes are insane. They're insane.
They are. You believe Herbert
right.
what, Doug?
And who even has the better O line?
Bengals
I wouldn't
do.
even say.
Nah,
But they don't have a great O line.
They don't, but
They don't have a
their
great
line's probably better.
It's
by
better.
hair.
It's better, but
Yeah.
I mean it's better
close.
than what it was.
That's probably the closest comparison
So,
in football. Honestly,
I just think
two
with what-
quarterbacks. I don't know if there's a closer comparison between two different quarterbacks.
I think Joe Burrow is so good. Like, don't get me wrong. I love Joe Burrow. I think he's awesome. I hate Cincinnati, but I think Herbert is. It's like comparing Mahomes to Brady. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying Mahomes is already better than Brady, and I'm not saying that Joe Burrow is Tom Brady. What I'm saying is, or Aaron Rodgers for that matter, Herbert has the skill level to do things that no other quarterback other than Mahomes can do. He has ridiculous arm angles. He can throw the ball way further than Burrow can, way further. His strength, the way he zips a ball.
Wait. You think Herbert could do what Mahomes does?
He does. He does that every year. You look at his arm angles. You look at his ability to pocket a football.
I love Herbert, but he does not do it like Mahomes does.
The only thing I have
Nobody
to
does
say
it like
He's
Mahomes.
closer to Mahomes than anyone else is in the league right now.
The only thing I have to say about Justin Herbert is that I believe he is taken into account himself for games. Like, he has won more games by himself than Joe Burrow has.
No.
He is just taken under his belt.
No, that's true.
That's
true. That is true.
I mean, I love watching Chargers games because when they're down, bro, Justin Herbert just gets something inside of him, and it's magical to watch. I love it. It's almost like Mahomes. It's kind of like watching Mahomes.
I don't think I've ever seen Herbert lose a game for a team. I have seen Joe Burrow lose a game for his team. Multiple times.
Look at Ford. He is dumbfounded.
Joe Burrow has thrown 3+ interceptions multiple times in his career.
I'm not saying he doesn't make mistakes, but Joe Burrow has won way more big games in his career, high school to NFL, than Justin Herbert has.
Abilities. I don't think Joe Burrow is the reason that Cincinnati won a lot of their games. I think Herbert is more talented than Burrow, but I do not think Herbert has the X factor that Burrow has that dog in him that Brady had in him, that Mahomes has in him. I'm not saying that much of a dog, but that same type of.
So you're saying
he did lose to Trevor Lawrence.
You talk about Burrow having bad games, and he still wins because he gets it done.
Herbert doesn't have that.
He did lose to Trevor Lawrence in the playoffs.
I am saying that when Justin Herbert hasn't won a playoff game yet.
If the Chargers defense wasn't so atrocious and they didn't have such a horrible head coach, we'd be in a completely different conversation right now.
But still,
anyway,
those teams you're playing in the first round most likely are not.
There's years from now to prove our argument. They're still both so early in their careers.
Oh no, it's going to take years to
figure it out. Anyway, we got way off topic there.
Yeah, we did.
We appreciate everybody for tuning in. That is this week's episode of the Fant4sy podcast, and we'll see y'all next week. Peace.
Peace.